Hello, everybody.
Heathens.
Las Vegas.
What stays in Heathenton? Wait, what? What? What happens in Heathenton stays in Heathenton?
Ooh, we got a new city name. It's
Yeah,
Heathenton. Okay, I like that.
Heathenton.
Yeah,
Welcome, welcome, come,
I love that so much.
Heathenton.
Um, so I was just telling Nicole because I like look at all of our analytics and stuff, and I was telling her on Spotify we have 69 followers. Haha, nice.
Ooh. 69.
69, baby.
There you
That's
go. There's
building
inspiration.
momentum.
Inspiration
Yes.
for all you heathens.
Oh man, you guys. I don't know about you guys, but by the time this episode comes out, the Aries new moon solar eclipse will be done with. But your girl was feeling it last week
Mm.
up into this week. And holy crap, man. That was a hostile new moon. Hostile.
Oh man, things were bitey. People are a little bit like blanky. Like how do I say it? Um those things that you're like, I can't, like your brain kits doesn't work, right? It has like lags in it.
Yeah. It's like you're walking around like an angry zombie.
All right. Brains.
Brains.
I need human flesh.
Yeah. Also, when this episode comes out, by the way, Mercury will then be in retrograde. It actually happens on April 21st and it goes until May 14th, I think. Yes.
What is this retrograde in?
You know what? Let me look really quick because I did not think to look at that. Usually I keep it in my phone. And your girl, I think, deleted it. So that's lovely. I was like,
That's
oh,
nice.
Mercury retrograde, who needs it?
We're not buying by these stars.
We're not abundant.
We're not
Um,
binded by these stars.
let's see.
Mm-mm. Oh, I had to. So in our class that we're doing in magma openness,
Yeah.
where mouth work. We're working with earth energy for the next 3 months, and I planted seeds today. I planted St. John's wort, and I just ordered some mugwort for I'm gonna plant some of those too.
Ooh la la.
I know, right?
Fresh mugwort. We like it.
Uh-huh. I'm very excited.
Mercury is going into retrograde in Taurus.
Mm.
Ugh, pain and misery.
Huh, right?
um,
Does that mean we all just take the next 3 weeks off, stay in our house in our pajamas, and order Grubhub?
maybe. Things I wanted to keep everybody in mind with that the Mercury retrograde is not the end of the world. It's a
It's
learning
not.
time.
What?
And this is going to be a big learning in aesthetics, career again,
Comfortability.
financial bliss. All
Mm-hmm.
these things are going to be coming up, especially probably body image. I
Mm-hmm.
imagine it's going to be a big one too. And like your own personal aesthetic, like you're going to feel like you have to buy a whole new wardrobe and change the way you look completely. So, keep that in mind. Don't buy a new car. Don't buy a new
Or
car.
a vacation.
Yeah, don't plan a vacation right now or go, if you have one planned, just keep it in mind and maybe work with the energy.
This is about reflection too, because a lot of the retrogrades is about pause and reflections, like what we learned for the past 3 months. Now we have to like kind of condense it or download it into our 3D body. And in Taurus, like I would look up the aspects of Taurus and really like integrate those and see maybe where your you feel you're lacking in those Taurusy aspects, like food and what kind of food you're doing and what your body's saying, like very earthly finances, health, these earthly aspects of Taurus. is a good thing to reflect on and kind of like shift or pause or, um, just introspect.
Yeah. And I feel like what helps me during retrogrades is Pinterest boards. So if I
Mm-hmm.
start feeling like the aesthetic part of it, because Taurus is very much about like luxury, right? And
Mm-hmm.
definitely it affects like the way you look, of course, too. But like doing a Pinterest board of what I think I want my new look to be, and then reflecting on it after retrograde's over and seeing if I still want that, then cool, I can change that. But making Pinterest boards about your life, like different things you want to change or you're feeling during this time too, I feel like helps me a lot because I'm such a visual person.
That's
Then
a
I can
great
always
idea.
reflect on them, and like be
Mm-hmm.
like, actually, I do want that. Like, I actually do want to change that about this or that.
Yeah, that's a great idea because you could do that for anything, not just your aesthetic, but like the way you're feeling. If you wanted your bedroom to look a little more, luxurious or soft or, have a certain aspect, is like do a Pinterest board on it. And it's almost like you're doing it in real life. You just didn't spend, a $10,000 on a bedroom.
And then hate everything once it's over.
Absolutely, right?
It's kinda
Absolutely.
like a version of window shopping, I feel like, where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I get satisfaction from adding things to my cart, but not buying them, because then I look at it later and I'm like, "I
Yeah.
actually don't like that. I'm not gonna get that." And then if it
Oh.
stays in my cart a couple times while looking at it, I'm like, "Alright, I'm gonna get that."
Mm-hmm. I do that as well. I'll buy a bunch of shit. I like that. 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 And then I go through it and I never like follow through. I kind
Yeah.
of like lose steam after I've like put all this stuff in the cart.
Yeah, you get, like, all that satisfaction from just putting it in the cart and not hitting
Mm-mm.
buy, because then there's
Right.
no buyer's remorse either. You're just like,
Mm-mm.
"I went shopping today."
I did. I went window shopping.
And people are like, "Really? What'd you get?" "Oh, nothing."
Nothing.
I bought it all in my head.
Right. I'm good. I don't need to.
Right. Okay, so today we're talking divine masculine,
Divine man.
the divine man, and the divine
Doctor.
father, the Fajer,
The
Dr.
Fajer.
Evil.
Dr. Evil.
And I think, Nicole, you wanted to start it out with what Damien had said about it, correct?
Well, I do want to start off before we start. I do want to say I thought it was important to talk about the fact that we're not trying to beat up anybody. This is not about man shaming. Um, we are taking things apart, acknowledging them, and scientifically looking at them, both good and bad. And we're going to do the same thing with femininity too. So, if something triggers, I just want you to look at that aspect more deeply into it instead of being a victim to it. So that's all I wanted to say.
Well, and I will add to that that we all have divine masculine and divine feminine energy within us. This is not about your 3D gender. This is about energies that we all hold within us and how we're just going to break it apart, break it down to like the simples, the basic maths of what these are and what these look like and how we can work with these energies to then bring ourselves into a higher level of being, a higher vibration. So
Mm-hmm.
that's all I'll add to that.
And very well said. So before we start on separating the two feminine and masculine, we a reminder from Damien was to look at the dichotomy. Things like the divine feminine and divine masculine, or light or shadows, all that oppose, they have to be integrated so that we can realize the illusion of things. So this is us like taking apart so we can see it in a clearer way so we can integrate it in a better way. It's almost like taking out what I know about masculinity and how I hold it in my body, looking at it, making sure that all those aspects are and ideas are still true to form because I've evolved for so long. So now I can take out the toxic parts or the parts that no longer serve me and replace them with different ideas and energies, and then integrate it back into myself.
Yes.
Um,
Beautifully said. Thank you for coming to our TED Talk.
Oh my god, could you imagine us on TED Talk?
I have actually. That would be really cool. I'd talk about anything on TED Talk. That would be a very interesting thing because I feel like
How do we
TED
get
Talk,
on TED Talk?
I don't know, but
Rabbit hole.
if it comes into our path, we will take it head on.
Well, we have a new moon and a solar eclipse power right now.
Heck yeah, man. Did some
Mhm.
meditations. It's good. Um, okay, so we kind of talked a little bit about the differences in masculinity and feminine very, very lightly in the last episode on polarity and like duality, right?
Mhm.
But to reiterate, to break this down even further, right? Um, again, we're looking at these as two halves of our souls, almost like the left and right brain. And when people
Mhm.
talk about divine masculinity, they actually talk about it as it representing your left brain, because your left
Mhm.
brain is normally connected to like logic and perfect strength, responsibility, and leadership.
Mhm.
Your emotional strength comes from divine masculine. Your self-confidence comes from that energy too. So I like to think about it like kind of like my head versus my heart kind of thing. Because they're both
Mhm.
within me and they both need a place within me. But my divine masculine in my head represents my head. My divine feminine represents my heart. And so today
Mhm.
we're talking about our brains, our heart, logic, math, science. Okay.
Math. Wow, I was like, "Oh gosh."
Yeah, I know, right? So I was thinking about Bill Nye the Science Guy. Some weird like opening to a science show or something. Math, science, the world evolving. Today we're going to talk about the divine masculine energy.
Oh god, I have to leave.
Ew.
Oh,
Gonna
I have to
make our
go.
own commercials.
I like this commercial. This is nice.
Yeah, it's I should do voiceovers. I'm just kidding. Ugh. Um, so your divine masculine energy is going to thrive on action and it knows what it wants and can spring into action to get it. This is where you're
Mhm.
going to pull like when you start a new career and you need that energy to like get things done to get promoted. This is that energy that's going to come in to
Mhm.
like push you forward. And I'm sure that a lot of our listeners know what this feels like because we all have to work, right? And some of us are entrepreneurs, some of us are in corporate, some of us are in, well, any job. That's when you're feeling a lot of that masculine energy, is when you are focused on your job and moving into action. You'll kind of, as you become more aware of this energy in you, you'll start to feel it. So
Mhm.
that's like I feel like that's a good place for me to, when I started, is like realizing, like, holy crap, like me running my own business, this is that energy, that drive forward, that drive to do good for my clients and create a great space. And like, these are the steps I'm going to take and I'm going to push it in there and I'm going to make it happen. And that energy
Mhm.
was like my little, my little baby boy inside.
Well, it is that energy of like tearing down walls and putting them up and, having the energy to like um do, right? Like I always thought it was funny because like at some point I was thinking about the masculine and feminine, and I always like to go back into history and go, well, why did this serve a purpose? So like I was thinking of like 1800s Tennessee woods, like camping is life kind of thing. They got log cabins, they've built everything. They have to kill and yeah, they have to kill the chicken, they have to dress the chicken, they have to, right? Like they literally have to do everything. And how it served the fact that if the woman stayed home and like, and not just the woman, it's the mother, really. She would be doing like what we know, like taking care of the babies, feeding, tending to the garden so that they had food for the winter. Like it was very noble work, but we've now, like, we don't see it that way, right? But if you thought about it back then, like this was essential work for them to actually survive, where like the man would go off and like find a steer and like kill it and bring it home and like bring it back to the house, protect the house. And I'm waiting for me to stop glitching. And to like um give her something to create. So it's that whole thing of like the masculine energy gives to the feminine. This is projecting, this is receiving. Like the sun projects to the moon and it's reflective of the sun. Like we think of the moon as being like it glows itself, but it doesn't. It reflects the sun. And so like sometimes I had forgotten, like not forgotten it, but like
Well, yeah, there was a big separation of it. I mean, the
mhm,
thing to keep in mind with that though is that you can't have goals to take forward without the creativity that comes from the feminine,
mhm.
right? It's
Right.
like that's what's nice. So I was reading the history as well because, like, I was like, well, when did this start to change? And in World War One and World War Two, when there was so many being sent off to war, women had to start doing a lot of masculine things, and they started to
Mhm.
have to become more independent. And then there was this integration for women of like the masculine and the feminine,
Well,
and then it's
especially when they came back and the men wanted to go back to their roles and stuff, and women were like, "No."
yeah, and a lot of them had PTSD. They were injured
Mhm.
in the war, and it was easier for them to stay home and be home. There's a
Makers?
word. Yes, thank you. I was like, there's a word and it's there, but it's not
It's right
takers.
there.
Home takers.
Home takers. I am here to take you home. Oh,
Which
wait.
it's hard because once your inner masculine gets really strong for anybody, it is really hard to put that fire out essentially to like calm
Mm,
that fire down a little bit and be like, okay, we can do this with both of us, Like think about again your two inner people, the masculine and feminine
right.
within. We could do both of this.
Right, and you need both of them to do it, right? Like you can't be just one or the other. Like you need both to be balanced. Um Also, I feel like we've never really seen what the divine masculine looks like or feels like, or like I feel like, especially masculinity right now is in a really confusing place because they know that they're toxic. And I don't mean it like the people, the energy, you know. They know that it's toxic. We know it's toxic, right? We see it. We're like, okay, that's not how it should be. It doesn't feel right. But then we don't really know, how do you have this like masculine energy that's going to be what we want, strong, empowered, like somebody to protect me from something scary, but also somebody soft enough to hold me when I'm crying, right? Like this divine masculine. But like what we get right now is like either men that are afraid of their feelings because they're not allowed to do it, they're not supposed to feel, and then they cut themselves off, so then you don't have that like balance anymore, right? And I think it's a very interesting time because I like our younger kids are really trying to find that best place.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. That kind of goes in I was looking at a bunch of different stuff today and I started curating a list of like ways to heal your inner masculine, and that is one of them that I wrote down was analyzing your conditioning. Like your inner
Mhm.
masculine was taught to be suppressed.
Right.
Suppress your feelings and your emotions to avoid like confrontations and consequences. And
Hmm.
that's a programming that has been put in, and it's a hard one to fight, to learn how to, like when we were talking in anger, it's a hard one to experience anger and experience it
Hmm.
in a healthy way and have people around you. You have to not be concerned with how others feel, because it's hard to be like, well, these are my feelings and it has nothing to do with you. I just need the support. I just need
Yeah.
like a shoulder and or a
Hmm.
hand to be like, it's okay. You can feel those feelings. And it's hard when you're so concerned with, like, hurting other people's feelings, meaning that would be the consequence, right? Because
Mhm.
they take things personally, which is one of the 4 rules, right? Never take anything
Right.
personally. Hard one to remember, but
Oh, yeah.
it's hard to experience those emotions because that is that fire, that male energy inside, that masculine energy inside that's like, again, boundaries been crossed, something's happened, we need to fix this, and because we haven't fixed it, we're mad about it,
Mhm.
right? And it's like that's conditioning. That's
Right.
programming.
It's programming. It's so funny because, like, I feel like, if you're in a room with somebody that's mad and then, or you're triggered about it and people take that personally, that's where I feel like we really feel like we're all one. Like, we are trying to separate ourselves, but then at the same time, we know that we're all one, like you are me and I am you. And I think we should revel in those moments that when you are mad with somebody and they're mad, that's where we really do, or even like happiness, like either one. But that's where we really can find the unity in the society. And instead of being opposed to it or like being a victim to it, is really realizing that that's how we're connected and like we can see that and it's a tangible form of it.
Absolutely. Well, and,
Hmm.
like, once we start, like, you know, awakening this inner masculine, the divine part of it inside of us, some of the great benefits that we can get is we can become assertive in the things,
Hmm.
and setting boundaries get easier,
Boundaries,
and you
yeah.
can become way less sensitive. I didn't
Hmm.
realize, so you got a quick backstory. No, when Nicole started doing ritual magic, she did it well before I didn't even know what she was. I was like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? I don't know this. And
I was in the ritual magic closet.
yeah, you were. And I was like, what are you doing? And she was like, I'm still figuring it out. Science, you know?
Hmm.
So when she started doing this and she was doing it pretty consistently, and she started saying this thing about how like nothing really could move her anymore. She started feeling more secure. And I think that what was happening is those energies were also being balanced
Hmm.
because I didn't realize like healing your inner masculine and waking it up to be divine and not toxic anymore, you do become less sensitive. It's
Hmm.
hard to like pull you into this lower vibrational feeling of like anger and upsetness and sensitivity and don't touch that, that's mine kind of thing.
Hmm.
Or like don't look at that and bitiness, you know?
Yeah,
The
you're
more that you work
protecting it.
with it, yeah, yeah, it
Mhm,
is that
mhm,
protectiveness that comes
mhm.
from it. And by healing it, you don't need to protect it anymore.
Well, if we think of women as like water, where they don't have any boundaries, no container to put them in, they just spill all over the floor, right? There's no container to it. Well, the masculine energy puts up the walls so you're not spilling all over the floor and into places that you're not supposed to be, right? Like I'm not
Yes.
seeping into your pores. I'm in my own container. And with ritual magic and with like your help with like processing wounds and triggers and stuff like that helps me put in my boundary. And I've even went to the point of like scientifically like going to like, okay, I think this is where my boundary is, but then going one more further and realizing like, okay, now I know why I don't like that. I have an understanding of why I'm putting this boundary in here instead of here or opposed to here, right? Like
Yeah.
this is the right, this is where and the more I've learned about myself, who I am, what I stand for at this point of time, the more I am not that sensitive because I have been putting up this container,
Yeah,
the
that's a great way to say it.
structure. Hmm.
Yeah, and like boundaries don't have to be concrete either. You know,
No.
boundaries change. The more that you learn, the more that you heal, the more that you become truly you. Boundaries can be movable. They're movable.
Hmm.
So like
Yeah.
Nicole saying putting it in a box, sometimes that box can change. You can get a bigger one, you can get a smaller one, you can get one that's clear, you could get one that's wicker. Who freaking knows?
Well,
But
it's
it
just
can
like
change.
changing, yeah, it's just like changing your decor in your house, right? Like
Yes.
that box doesn't serve me anymore. I'm gonna go donate it, throw it away, whatever. And then I will. buy a new box.
Right.
I always say that everything in my head is put in pencil because I can change it. I can erase it when I want to. I can expand that thought.
Yeah, I like that. Um, so I have some other ways to heal your inner masculine, and this one we talk about quite a lot. Can you guess what it is?
Oh God, no.
Heal the wounds, baby.
Oh,
Heal the
yep.
wounds.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge one, man.
It's a big one.
It's big. We talk about it a lot. A lot. Because everybody's hurting, man, and we gotta heal that shit. That'll help your inner masculine not feel so protective, and like it has to be so strong, and it can't break, it can't falter because we have to protect this wound.
Mm-hmm.
That helps a lot too. Another one I have is take responsibility for yourself and your actions.
Yep. Be credible or
Yep.
accountable.
Okay. I think
Credible.
I think it is accountable, but credible is not a bad thing to do either. Because then when you are being accountable, you create credibility.
Well, there we go.
There you go. I like this one. I found this one in an article, and I hadn't even thought about this truly when it comes to this, but we have talked about this a lot,
Mm-hmm.
is connecting with our inner father. So it's just your inner
That's
father, not your.
so, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, so what I have with this is the father is a universal archetype that we all have within us. And the
Mm-hmm.
inner father is kind and compassionate. And when you cultivate a relationship with him, he can help you understand yourself and show you how you can father yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my God, I love that.
Yeah, I have so many questions now. Like, who, what is like, what is a father aspect? Like, do you know? Like, I mean, I have an idea, but like, is that idea right, wrong? Like, I have questions.
Right. And it's like it could be different for all of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like my grandfather has been a pretty good example of what a dad could be,
Mm-hmm.
because he's not my dad, he's my grandpa, and we have this, like, understanding, and it's like we're friends, we've gotten over the archetype of being granddaughter and grandparents kinda thing a little bit. We still have respect for it, but it's not like they're like,
Right.
you can't get a tattoo on your hand because I'm not gonna like it," kinda thing. Like, that's just not how
Right.
they are anymore. But my grandpa is and has been like that before, where he is kind, he is compassionate, he's the ear to, rest my worries on, rest my struggles on. He gives me advice. Sometimes it's advice where it's like, Cass, I don't know what I would do in that. I think you need to, think about it and figure it out. And like, this is my only advice I can give you. And it's like this, like, strong nurturing where it's not like a mother where it's like, "Oh, I'm come here, let me hug you and let me,
Yeah, comfort.
comfort." Yeah, it's a different kind of
Yeah.
comfort. And I'm like, my grandpa's like that inner father in me where I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you need like love that's a little tough. It's like, gotta suck it up, kid. Everybody has to do this
Well,
shit.
yeah, and I think that's really the thing is it does give you this toughness because it's almost like this, like, oh, how do I explain this? Like a gentle, like a gentle bully.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like they toughen you up a little bit, but they're doing it in such a way that is kind and like giving you a little bit of a thicker skin, you know? Like, come on, suck it up. Let's go, buttercup. You know, like that kind of energy, right? Like
So what you're saying, Nicole, is we all need a bully.
a gentle one.
A
A
gentle
gentle
one.
one.
That's so funny.
I'm like, I don't know how to describe what they're showing me in my head right now.
um Another one I had that I found that I thought was super cool, and I didn't think about this either, was connecting with your inner warrior.
Oh yeah.
And like your inner warrior isn't about dominating, fighting, or war. It's your support and your protector. And it embodies like truth, courage, and inner strength. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool too, because I never thought about like our inner warrior. That's what comes up when you're in your divine masculine energy comes up. And that's who comes up is this inner warrior of like, we gotta have courage right now and we gotta have strength right now. And I can give that to you and I will help you with this. And that's that part of us that I hadn't given thought to in this
Like,
kind of form where we're breaking it down.
I agree, because especially like warrior, you just automatically think of like battling and war and all that kind of thing. And it's like, that's not just what a warrior does. And it's not exactly like, yes, that's the extreme expression of it.
Yeah.
But what is the polarity of that? Like, what is the opposite of that? Like, I'm gonna like defend my homeland with my life kind of energy to like, what's
Let's
the other?
I'm gonna defend my homeland.
Right.
You want that
Ah.
tickets? Yeah, I had not thought about that. And I was like, wow, that's actually really cool. Cause like that is something I feel like I need to work on is connecting with my inner warrior because I don't I never thought about that that duality of it, that what the other
Mm-hmm.
side of it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
That toxic warrior is usually who comes up and I'm like, "No, we're not. We don't need a battle right now. We're
You're
not
like, no,
going to
no,
war. Sit
sit down, sit down.
down."
I need the other guy.
Yeah. I was like it's more like, "Wait, there's another guy? Where'd you
You're
come
right.
from?"
Oh God. Welcome, welcome to my head.
Welcome into my seats, my council that lives in my
Right.
head. I am the CEO.
I am the face of this operation.
Yeah, seriously. Mm,
Mm-hmm.
what a face. The last one that I have for that too is being self-confident. Um, and when we have self-confidence, we reach a level of maturity to respect ourselves and set boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's like kind of almost towards like the end of it when you start really like integrating this energy and like working with this and
Mm-hmm.
healing all these wounds and looking at all these aspects of like divine masculine. I'm like, wow, that's really, I didn't think about that either. You're right. I was like telling myself, you're right. Being self confident is respecting ourselves and it's
Mm-hmm.
respecting our boundaries and it's having confidence in the fact that the boundaries are not meant to hurt anybody or be about anybody else. It's for ourselves and we're confident in that.
Right. Like, it's having the boundaries is really, and I've never really understood it. Like, you know, talking about some of these things, especially when you're talking about it esoterically, is like, uh, I don't get it until I get it. And it's like one day it hits you as a wave, and you're like, oh, that's how boundaries work. That's what that is. And, or that's how I crossed it. Like, I would always like cross my own boundary
Hmm.
because I'm a natural born people pleaser.
Same.
And I would be mad, and I would be mad at the people that made me, that I thought made me cross my boundary. So I was really projecting onto them my anger at myself.
Yes.
And until I realized I was doing it, I couldn't stop doing it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've been there too. I
Mm-hmm.
absolutely do know what you mean. Because you're just so mad. You're so mad that like
That
you
they would
did
even
this thing that
ask.
you don't want to
Right.
do. You never have wanted to do it, but because
Mm-mm.
you want to make somebody else happy, you do it, and then you're like pissed at them because they're like, you made me make you happy.
Yeah.
That sounds so
Yeah.
stupid.
It sounds so dumb, and yet, like, here you do it one more time. Like, okay, I'll cross my boundary, and now I'm going to be mad at you, and now I'm going to like punish you
Yep.
because you, because in my mind, you made me cross my own boundary. And that's not how that goes.
No,
I
because
crossed
if you
my own
guys
boundary.
I feel like what has helped me and Nicole, and it's just came to me, is talking to ourselves out loud. Because when you
Yeah.
say some of this stuff to yourself, you guys, like, if you really think about why you're mad, because the boundary got you're like, "Oh, well, boundary got crossed for me." And then you're like, "Well, who crossed it?" And you're like, "Well, fuck, I did, but I'm still mad at them because they made me cross it." And then you hear yourself saying this stuff, and you're like, "I sound
Yeah.
so dumb right now."
Right.
Guys,
Right.
no. That makes no
No.
sense.
Right. But when you're in the moment, it makes all the sense in the world, right? Like until you
Yes.
stop and pause and like look at it, and, and then you're like, oh, and then you
Yeah.
move on, and that's growth.
That's gross. I don't like it. So when you start to heal and awaken your divine masculine, like things that you'll start noticing is like when you're competing, it's not going to be about the competition. It's going to be about the experience. And you'll
Hmm.
start to acknowledge your insecurities and work on improving your behavior. And your divine, you got to keep in mind your divine feminine is going to be there to nurture that.
Hmm.
So, like, you're not alone in yourself, if that makes sense. You have these aspects of yourself that are helping you.
Hmm. It's funny because I feel like this is how fragmentation starts, and that we're putting the pieces together. Because like all this stuff is like one unity: the divine masculine, divine feminine, the anger, the happiness, the joy. It's all in there, and we're like separating it and kind of refining it and then putting it back together. So you're never really alone. You're always like have these aspects that like this team playing your whole system, your whole organized system.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so like interesting to think about it like that, like being fragmented. Cause
Mm-hmm.
again, that goes into like this programming, or this conditioning where it's like it breaks you apart to see if you can pull yourself back together. And when you
Mm-hmm.
start doing the work, you guys, it's hard. And it's not, again, we talk about this often, but to reiterate, which I'll probably say this many, many times over the years of doing this, but it's not going to happen overnight. It's
No.
when you start to allow your divine masculine to be vulnerable and insecure, that shadow side of your masculine is going to come up and try to suppress it with arrogance, aggression, and even avoidance. And you might be bitey and you might not want to talk about it. And you might think, I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me.
Mm-hmm. And you will think that.
Yep. And you got to fight it and be like, wait,
Yeah.
no, actually, there is something wrong with me and I am not okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh, go ahead.
No, it left. It
Boo.
left. It
Boo.
boo.
Um, so I was thinking about like symbols and things, and it's so funny because after we talk about divine masculine, I want to talk about Beltane too, you guys, because when this comes out, Beltane would have been on the first, but you can of course celebrate whenever it's nice outside. But
Mm-hmm.
it's so funny, Nicole's going through like invoking Earth right now while Beltane's about to be happening, and we're talking about divine masculine, which is funny because Earth, divine masculine is our earthly side.
Mm-hmm.
It has a lot to do with earth and fire.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. And I was thinking about you and I was like, wow, she's so in tune.
Ah.
Go, buddy, go. Some symbols that I found that I also two of them I'm gonna say, well, three of them I'm gonna save for the end because I'd really love your explanation of them off the top of your head because you've worked with a lot of these energies and I would like to
Mm-hmm.
see how they like changed for you. Um, the first one I wanted to say is the stag. So for our pagans, Wiccans, the stag is going to be a good one to work with as a symbol for your masculinity if you'd like. It's considered the king of the forest. He protects his fellow deer. And
Mm-hmm.
also the stag is the symbol of the Celtic corn god. Where is Rocky when you need him? Sir Nunos. Yeah, he was the lord of the wild things. So he's
Oh.
the horn god, the Celtic horn god. That's a good energy deity for many people that like to work with deities. You could try to ask them to help heal your
Mm-hmm.
inner uh what are we talking about? Masculine, that's right.
Masculine.
Like my brain. Where is she?
Okay.
So the stag also can represent grace and stamina and instincts and maturity. And those are all energies within that entity that you could bring in to help you heal. Um, Doing rituals with a knife, That's been a big symbol of authority, and that symbol's power
Mhm,
and strength. That's a big
mhm,
masculine energy in rituals if you like to do rituals as opposed to deity work or meditations.
mhm.
Um, the 3 I'd like for you to talk about, one of them being Mars,
Mars?
and how Mars represents masculinity and how we could use that energy.
Well, Mars is that um energy that is back and forth. Like it wants to have a tennis match. It wants to have an argument and or a debate is probably a more positive way because I know when I say argument like that's a negative like not yelling. It's the back and forth, right? Like, well, why did you think that thought? Well, let me think about that. And then that, it makes you question these things, and questioning things are good because you can solidify where your boundary is at that point. So Mars is that energy that really makes it easy to it's not always probably going to be the most comfortable because you're questioning it and it's a wave it looks like a wavering kind of thing. But this back and forth really puts to where your boundary is going to be, and then when you get to that point when to stop. So you're not crossing it. And the fact that you respect that boundary because you built that boundary with every thought and thought form, why you built it, what it stands for, instead of it just being a hollow line in the sand that you have no depth to, right?
Chef's kiss, man. The next one that I would like for you to explain to the heathenistic people here in
Heathenton.
Heathenton is Aries energy.
Oh, Aries energy is this like head first. These guys are really good about this energy is really good about knowing who they are because they're the first zodiac sign. They're the ones that are going to start things. That's why this new moon and this eclipse and all of this Aries energy that we're now it's almost like we came to the climax at this point of Aries energy because that started and then it really rocketed up. And then we're going to go right into Taurus, which is energy going into Earth.
Yeah.
So this headstrong in the best way possible um really starts us like it's got the fire, it's got the creativity, it has the action to do it. It has and it will have fun doing it because they're a young it's the zodiac just starting out. This is that young, bright spring kind of fiery energy.
What about fire?
Oh God, fire. Uh Fire is so fire is this where we look at stuff and we need to transform it. So fire, you're going to take what's originally there and you're going to refine it into something. So you're going to take away everything that no longer serves you. You are going to transform it into a better version of itself. So that would be like you would use that more, I would think, is like if we are re like this boundary doesn't work anymore or your thoughts had changed a little bit. So then you need to restructure that. This is where that fire energy is really going to like get in there and like transform it into something else more refined. And it takes away all these like impurities that we don't need anymore and no longer serving us. Fire is also like the action and the consumption of um power. It's a divine fire is one of those things that was given from the gods, and I think when we get to what I would really like people to do about thinking about the divine masculine, no matter if you identify as a male or a female, look at all of the stuff online about masculinity and make this definition for yourself of what you believe is the divine masculine, because it's going to translate differently for everybody, right? We've all had our different experiences with men, with masculine energy, all that kind of stuff. And having this understanding through your filter is what's going to serve you best. If you're taking somebody else's like definition of what masculinity is, it's not going to fit quite as well as you defining it yourself. So I would really like people to like just to look at it, what divine masculine would mean to them and carry
Mhm.
that with them.
Yeah. So these are just some symbols too of masculinity you guys can also use to help you kind of get onto this path, especially if you're somebody who likes to do altar work or you like to do rituals, you like to do baths, anything like that. You can use these kind of symbols, meditations, things like that. You can use these to help you get into that form of looking inward. And you can look
Hmm.
at these different kinds of symbols to help you get a baseline, even. Like
Hmm.
in ritual magic, you can use fire and banish every corner, and you can use it to banish out the things that no longer serve you.
Hmm.
Like Mars energy, you could do a bath for Mars energy, to bring that
Hmm.
in to help you, to give you power. Same with Aries, the stag, all of this stuff. So, I agree with Nicole, with Matt, with everything we say always, especially this one. When you're doing interpersonal work, you do still need to do the research outside of what we're giving you, because when we say we're scratching the surface, I mean, you guys, we are at like basic math in this stuff. Okay. We are one plus
Right.
one equals two. And you can really dive deeper into this stuff for yourself to be able to explain it for yourself, what makes sense for you.
Well, this empowers you, right?
Mhm.
Like you don't have to wonder why I say yes to that. You'll know.
Yeah,
And in that knowing empowers you in all aspects then. And that gives you confidence and that gives you like, I don't know, more stability in your life.
absolutely. So healing your inner masculine, man, start working with it.
Start working with it. It's a good energy. Also don't want like people because I know like it's very sensitive about masculine and feminine right now. And I know that women empowerment sometimes can be toxic too. And we to the point of where they're completely um negating that masculine energy, right? Which is funny because it actually is masculine energy, toxic, but through a feminine version. And we need that. Like it never works if one is suppressing the other. It doesn't make it right just because it was been done to us for so long, right? It doesn't work that way. That's not how we evolve. Um, we have to empower both to have balance, and that's where we're going to get the peace in the world kind of thing, right? Like you need that balance for
Yeah,
between it.
for a basic, like latent, visual, you'd never have one that's suppressing the other, because what happens is you have two light, you have two dark. When one
Mm.
light is stronger than the other light, you have the other dark.
Mhm.
You're never without one, because we're not
Right.
talking genders, we're talking energies. So it's like you
Right.
never don't have one. So if
Right.
your feminine is overpoweringly light, you would get the shadow of the masculine. That's
Mhm.
walking hand in hand with the power and the light of the feminine.
Right. Well, and I think this is where this gets confused in religion too is uh where they say they need one feminine and one masculine. I mean, they say one female, one male, and that's the marriage. And it's not a human body, it's the energies because it balances out. You've got one that's going to be more receptive and you're going to be one that's more projective.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Just the tip. Oh,
just the tip. So, you need this balance, and it doesn't matter what your human form looks like. You need this balance of receptivity and projectivity. Like that's the balance of it.
that's duality of it too.
Right, right.
So, and we talked about this in polarity and duality, but like Damien had said, Once you integrate all these energies and you get these to a place, you can rise to a level above it to where this it's not that it doesn't matter, it's just that it will not take as much precedent in your life. It won't be
But
something you
yeah,
have to focus on.
it's like putting together a puzzle. That one piece that you need is all consuming at that point because you need that puzzle piece, right? But once you
Yes.
put the whole thing together, it's about the picture, not just the puzzle piece.
Yeah, and then you get to just move on to another puzzle because that one's done.
Yeah.
That's a great way to say that.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's all I had on masculinity.
I think that's all we need on masculinity. I mean,
Oh,
I will say that I would like the one thing that I kind of there's a guy, and I don't think you've watched Yellowstone yet, but there's an actor that has come back into the realm through this character named Rip. And I'm telling you, like, you want to talk about divine masculine, girl. Um, the the show is fine, whatever it is, but like if you look at the aspect of just him, like how he looks, he's not like he's a solid cowboy man, right? He's had like these moments in the show. It's such great writing, I feel like, because like there's moments in this show where like he comes like crashing through a wall and saves the damsel in distress and she's no damsel, by the way. Just as hard as he is. But it's such a beautiful moment of a god and a goddess for me that like when I think of divine masculine, that's kind of who I think about.
yeah, I
Just
get
this
that.
big, right? Like it's just this big masculine, like I'm gonna do it a little rough around the edges, like but yet, at the end of the day, found your perfect meadow, watched the sunset with you, had a cigarette and your favorite whiskey already on hand, so you guys could like sit there and like, do you know what I mean? Like that kind of energy.
You fucking muggle. You know who I think of?
Who?
Snape. Snape.
Snape.
Snape. Severus Snape.
Snape.
Yeah, because I feel like Snape has this like hard exterior, but honestly
Mm-hmm.
has that feminine in him too, where he cares so much about Harry, but he's always
Yeah.
presenting as a strong hard ass. But really, honestly, Snape saves him at so many points and cares about him and like fights for him. And he, to me, is like a divine masculine figure in movies, right? Because he's like,
Yeah.
he's a hard ass man and he's going to push you, but it's for the better of you. And then on top
It's
of it, he's there to protect you.
Isn't it so weird to like think about him actually caring for Harry when Harry did had no like love for him whatsoever, right? And then at the end is where he really understood the depth of that character. You know, unfortunately, well, fortunately or fortunately, when it was done, right? Like when he died,
Yeah.
that's when it all came back together about like your misunderstanding of this fatherly, this universal, like Saturn push. You know,
Yes.
he is the embodiment of that father Saturn
Yes.
archetype for sure. Like I never even thought about that until now. Like that's so amazing because that it does embody it so well because you know, he's so like, no, you're gonna do this. No, you're gonna do this. No, you're gonna do this. I'm always gonna be around the corner, like looking for you, even at night. Like,
I'm going
why
to
aren't you
send
in your
that
bed?
stag to save your ass because I do care about you
Yeah,
because I love you and I want you to be good. I want you to be
yeah,
safe. I want to protect you.
yes, yes, yes. That's such a
Also,
great thing.
man, I would give my left arm to be able to watch that scene for the first time again and have that realization happen. Because holy crap, man. Oh, that was so good.
Uh, God, it's such a good one.
Such
I have
good
to go
movies.
watch. I have to go watch Harry Potter now.
So, would you like to move into Beltane?
Okay, let's go to Beltane.
Beltane, because we love holidays. Um, so Beltane's actually a festival. When it comes to these pagan holidays, you guys like we celebrate them, but I don't know what they mean. Let's be
No,
honest here. So I'm learning
mm-mm.
with you guys because I learned all this today. I was today years old.
I was today years old.
So I got a lot of things that I was like, "Wow, okay, I think we should explain this because I didn't know a lot of this." So Beltane is a festival held usually on the first day of May in Ireland and Scotland, and it's celebrating the beginning of summer. So this is the point in between spring equinox and summer equinox. It's the beginning of summer, end of spring. And they have this really cool thing they do. And I saw this on TikTok the other day and I didn't even know what it was. When they celebrate Maine, they're opening up the pastures and letting the cows back outside. And what they do is they have two fires going that the cows go through and it blesses them fertility because this is a big thing on fertility and fire and passion and rebirth, and they go through two fires to bless them and the cows are so happy and they're like jumping and
Oh,
oh,
it's so funny because it's just like fuck, what is it? Aries blessing Taurus.
yes,
Do you know what I mean? Like
yes,
it's so symbolic.
so symbolic.
Yeah.
That's a great way to think about it too. So when you're celebrating this, you're celebrating the sun and the fertility of the land below. You're celebrating the light half of the year, and we're celebrating the union of the Mother Earth and the Horde God. So, again, Beltane traditions are going to revolve around fertility, fire, passion, and rebirth. Something I saw that I thought was really cool is if you practice ancestor work, looking into your heritage and finding out what Beltane rituals your ancestors may have done,
Oh,
that can
that's
really
cool.
connect you too. And I was like, oh, that's cool. But some other rituals you can do for Beltane to celebrate is having a ritual bonfire, which is funny because Nicole's been saying she's wanting a bonfire to have a bonfire. And I was like, oh, dude,
It's
Beltane, duh.
Beltane.
You can use the bonfire like a big smudge stick and let the smoke carry protective energy with it across the land. Just so cool to think about. Now, this one I had to research because I didn't know. Do you know what maypoles, why they're done, or what the symbolization is? Because I did not.
I mean, I guess it would be just weaving together. It's almost like a spell.
It is. Let me break it down for you because I was like, oh my God, I never do that. Now I want to do a maypole.
I've always wanted to do maple.
Yeah, I want to do one. So the maypole was considered a phallic symbol. Do you know what phallic means?
Yeah, I know what phallic means.
Tell them what it means, you heathen.
Oh God, I don't know
It's
if
an
I could
erect
say
penis.
that.
It.
Phallic.
It's phallic. Um, so they use the maple and it's the intent is to penetrate the earth, right? And at the top of the maypole, they have a wreath with flowers, and that would be placed to symbolize the fertility of the goddess. And then it's usually done by young people dancing around, young men and women. And once the maypole is covered with the ribbons, it represents the womb of the earth. Cool, man.
That's cool.
I didn't know all this.
I was gonna.
Um, Also May bushes. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of May bushes,
Oh,
but you might see them. Usually people decorate a hawthorn or a rowan tree with flowers, ribbons, and/or decorations to celebrate.
that's cool.
This is the time when people are creating floral wreaths or crowns, so you can do that. Just, um, I thought this one was cool, and I kind of want to do this. You could create a fairy garden because it's believed this is the time when fae are reawakening. So you can make a home for them or a little garden from them, but place it outside, please. Do not keep it in your home unless you want to
Yeah.
invite the fae
Oh,
into your home. And if you
that's funny
do,
because this is
good
what
luck.
came out today.
You gotta make a fairy garden, man, for Beltane. Put it outside because they're waking back up. Um, you can make offerings to the fertility goddess, sow seeds for your garden. Miss Nicole did that.
I did that.
You could perform love and fertility rituals, and of course, as always, decorate your altar for Beltane.
And
And
there's plenty of stuff on the TikTok.
yeah, dude, and also look up like symbols, colors, flowers, things like
Mm-hmm.
that for Beltane because I'm not giving it all to you, peeps. You gotta do the work.
That's
I'm
right.
just kidding. I
Uh,
really didn't want to go into all of that.
it's a lot.
It's a lot. There's so many different symbols that could resonate with you where you're like, oh, I want to put that on my altar.
Well, and everybody's aesthetic is different. You've got some people who want everything, and then some people who are minimalist. So or if you want to paint or whatever,
Yeah.
like somebody painting.
You guys, we have a Samsung TV and there's Samsung TV channels and they're like channels that play shows like consistently. Like there's literally a Kitchen Nightmares channel, so you can listen to Gordon Ramsay yell at people. But there's a Bob Ross channel, and I've been obsessed with Bob Ross for like my whole life. And the other day I was like thinking to myself, I really want to start doing something that is kind of a creative new thing where I can get into a creative space that doesn't involve anybody else because right now my only creative outlet is work, but it's become and to preface this, I love my job. I love the work I'm doing. I like how my work has changed for me. It's been very fulfilling, but it's no longer something where I can be in my own head and do creative stuff. It's become more giving, more healing when something where I'm actually giving to people and helping them heal, which has been really
Right.
great. But I need a
Hmm.
creative outlet that is just for me.
Right.
Um, so I kind of want to start doing Bob Ross paintings because just listening to him talk while I'm doing it, I feel like would feel so soothing.
Man, I think that's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I'm like
I
so
can't
I'm
wait to see
excited
it.
about it. I
So
want to do
excited.
it. We
We
got to
gotta
try
go to Hoann's.
the Hoans,
We
man.
gotta go to the Hoann's.
If you guys have not noticed this about us yet, we don't say anything right.
No.
And when people hear Hoans, like one of our friends at work the other day was like, "Did you just call Joanne's Hoans?" And I was like, "I sure the fuck did.
Hell
It's
yeah, I
the
did.
Hoans.
It's the Hoann's.
The hoe to the ands."
No, we're gonna do creative stuff because I gotta go and get a. We're doing in Magna Opus. We're doing a wood disc, and I have to make a sigil for Earth, which is the Star of David, with like Hebrew around it.
Ugh, that's gonna be so cool. We love being
Oh, I'm
crafty.
excited. Crafty.
Also, we have to get clay because the baby wants to start making clay figurines.
Oh my God, here we go. This will be great. We can make our own golems. We're gonna need to like research golems because like that's a real thing where they like make a entity out of clay.
I have to ask Rocky this, but I wonder if clay figurines could hold spirits too.
I bet you they can.
I bet they can too, because clay's from the earth.
Right. Or you can, I don't know if you can make it like a hole in the middle of it so that had a like a room or a house to like stay in too. So if you had it like as a
Ah.
person, but like in the middle is like had it open,
And I bet
maybe that'd
depending on
be.
what sigils or what talismans you put on it too, you could probably trap it.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to make clay talismans.
That's so cool. We're excited about life, guys.
We are excited about life.
That's exciting. I love crafting stuff with my fingers.
Yeah. It was, yeah, today was a very, I was in my feelings today because I felt very overwhelmed recently about the amount of stuff that was kind of on my plate lately. And the whole thing is I have faith. I know I can do it. It wouldn't be given to me if I wouldn't have the strength to do it or it wasn't in my path or anything like that. But I'm still human and I still like feel things.
Yeah.
So, and I was talking to my mentor this morning and I was like, um, where was I going with this? Oh, I was just talking and I was feeling very grateful for the book that I found where I found all of this at, basically. All of the ritual magic, all of the spiritual part. Um, and I just like reflected today about it's been 2 years on this journey and where I was at then and where I'm at now and how much my life has changed since then. And I was just super grateful that he wrote that book. And, it was one of those things where I was like, I'm just feeling my feelings over here. I just want to be grateful for the stuff that has been given to me and to help empower myself too.
That's really cool. I'm sure we've talked about this before, but looking back and being grateful for the things and how far you've come always helps with the happiness part of life. because
I think it
you don't look at the
does.
lack, you look at the things you've done and accomplished, and you're like, damn, go me.
Yeah. Well, I especially think it's important for us, the people that are working on themselves, because we're always looking for those places that need to be healed. And
Yeah.
we never stop in the moment and like look back and go, oh my God, look at all of this. Right?
Yep.
Like, look what I've done. Look what I've like accomplished. Look at, you know, but so I think it's very important. Like, this is the time where you really can utilize, sorry, that was aggressive. Really can utilize the retrograde for your benefit is to really like look back and see how far you've come and reflect on that, because it will support you in the hard times to come ahead.
Yeah.
Like now when we face opposition, I don't feel so scared or worried or, like yeah, it sucks, but like I'm gonna put a little more effort into something. But like knowing that I've already been through all stuff like this and that I have my backpack full of tools of stuff that's gonna help me along the way, it really makes me feel empowered, I guess. You know?
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Look at her go.
Look at
Yeah, guys.
come on, we
Don't
gotta go.
don't forget to be grateful for the things that you've accomplished.
Absolutely.
It feels good. It feels good to look back.
Mhm. And if it doesn't, change your shit. That's
True. If it doesn't, you need to change it.
change it. Absolutely.
Oh man. Well,
All right, we gotta go.
episode whatever this is in the
What
books.
what is this episode? 11, 12?
I think it's got to be like 15, 16, something like that. I have no
Ooh,
idea.
we are just trotting along.
Thanks for 69 followers. That's so cool.
Oh, do we have to sit there and say subscribe and like our videos?
Subscribe if you want. Like it if you want.
Do
If
it.
not, cool.
Okay,
If you feel so called.
that's
All
our
right.
that's our stuff. All right, I love you, buddy.
I love
I
you
love
too.
you. I love you, heathens.
Yay, Heathens of Heathenton. Yay. We'll
Heathens
see you
of
next
Heaventon.
time.
We've got a city.